compromise on those four things. What we must do, tomorrow there's action all over the country. Then, as we see the votes on confirmation, I'm taking a list today of you that are ready. We are going to go to senators' offices.
Yes.
And we are going to visit them right before the votes for Mr. Sessions. We need to make some house calls. We need to stay a little while. And we need to stay in their office while they on the floor voting here. Because Dr. King died fighting for these rights. That's why we came to the King Memorial. Mrs. Coretta Scott King, who used to speak at National Action Network every year, wrote a letter saying that Sessions shouldn't be on the federal bench. We owe it to her to have a roll call on those that would put him in the Justice Department. You're not getting a pass. We want the world to see if you sell us out, we're going to let everybody know who you are. When we look at the fact that in the confirmation hearing, no one raised while he was sitting there when he said he supported vote ID. Well, if you support vote ID, why did you allow 37 motor vehicle places in Alabama where they could get their ID? They closed them right after the Supreme Court decision. 8 of the 10 top black counties closed them. You didn't say anything about it, Senator. You cannot be the head of the Justice Department and protect voters when you advocate suppressing the vote and blocking the vote. You said that you were against federal intervention and federal people getting involved in local cases, where this week alone we saw a consent decree in Baltimore, a report in Chicago. All of that, he would stop. We are not here because we didn't have something else to do. We're here because we fought hard to make sure that this administration heard our cry, and we are not going away now. Criminal justice and police reform must go forward. Let me say this. I saw on the front page of the Washington Post this morning about the case of A.L.L. I thought about how in this Justice Department is the case of Walter Scott, shot in the back on video, where there's a federal case. All of this movement, the re-enlivening of it, the revival of it, started when a young boy with nothing but Skittles and an iced tea in his hand was going home to his daddy, and he was shot down, and they wouldn't even arrest the assailant. And some of us went to Sanford, Florida, and stood up for Trayvon Martin, and we gonna stand up for A.L.L, and we gonna stand up for Walter Scott, and we gonna stand up for Tamir Rice. You may switch presidents, but we just gonna switch legs and keep on marching. We won't back down. We won't be trumped. We won't be trumped. We won't be trumped.
We won't be trumped. We won't be trumped. We won't be trumped. We won't be trumped. We won't be trumped.
I
We
want
won't be
you
trumped.
to join me in welcoming to the stage the courageous face of these movements, the mother of Trayvon Martin, Sabrina Fulton, the mother of Eric Garner, Gwen Carr, and the brother Walter Scott. They came and marched with us today. We will not be moved.
Not be moved.
Let's hear. You know, the media likes to put out their friends and say, oh, this person speaks for the movement. We work with the families that have suffered. We've been with Sabrina from the beginning. We still there. We've been with Eric Garner. We still there. We've been with Walter Scott, and we're going to be there to the end. Where's Carrie Weiss? Carrie Weiss was one of the young men that Donald Trump took ads and said that he should be executed for Central Park. We marched for him. We stood for him. He went to jail for something he didn't do and was finally exonerated after 13 years in jail. Couldn't get a job. So we gave him a job at Nash Action Network. We're still here.
Yes.
Carrie Weiss, one of the Central Park Five.
Yes.
We know how to fight Trump. Carrie Weiss is an example of how we gonna fight. A man shot and killed with a question of mentality in San Diego, California. Albert Alongo, his father joins us. Richard Alongo.
Amen.
These are the cases that we want the Senate to make sure they have backbone to deal with. I want to hear from the families, then we're going to hear from one of the members of the Senate. A couple have come with us today. Then my colleagues in civil rights leadership are here. So we don't want you to think that you came all this distance just for a parade. A lot of folks have parades and call it a march. We lay out what we're going to do. It's house calls. How many of y'all ready to make house calls? How many of y'all ready for the day to go in and have a session on session at your senator's office?
Yes.
We want to break it down state by state. Call it sessions for session.
Session.
Then we also, and I'm going to wait for Mark on this, we're calling a summit since the public sector's been closing on us. We need to select in the private sector the companies that are violating our principles, and we are going to have a national withdrawal of our dollars. And we're going to make sure the private sector balances out the public sector. So if you're going to cut us off in Washington, we're going to cut you off at home. Mother of Trayvon Martin, Sabrina Fulton.
All right.
I want to say that I stand with Rev because he stood with me. We shall not be moved. That's right. Although it was my son, Trayvon Martin, that was shot and killed back in February 26, 2012, I want you to have the same compassion for me as if it was your child. It's so very important that we look out for our young people.
Yes.
Because they can't defend themselves. Right. And so I continue this fight because my son was shot down and it made me stand up. So won't you stand with us? Won't you go back to your community and stand up and make a difference in your community? Thank you and God bless you.
The mother of Eric Garner, Miss Gwen Carr.
Right.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you all for being here. You know we all need to be here. Yes. This is the first step. Yes. This is not the end. This is the beginning. When we leave here, we have work to do.
Yes.
Like at National Action Network, I thank them so very much for standing with us. They stand with us when the lights are on and when they go out. A lot of you, when you go back to your homes, it'll be like nothing happened. We can't do that. We have to stand. There are things that are at stake that we have to address. Our voting rights. We must not embarrass our forefathers by letting them take away our voting rights. That's the most powerful weapon that we have. And we will not stand by quietly while they manipulate the voting rights. Our forefathers died. Our blood, our forefathers' blood is on that bill. And we must uphold them. And our civil rights, the right to a living wage. We shouldn't have to work 2 or 3 jobs just to get the minimum basics for our families. Everyone deserves a living wage. Why do they think that we are any less? The 67 million who's getting less than the minimum wage, less than a living wage. We don't want the minimum wage. We want a living wage. Okay? And we want for the women. The women is getting paid 67 cents to every dollar that a man is making. Why? We do the best work. So we should get paid accordingly. Okay? And the police reform, we must remember, we must demand the way that our communities is being policed. We have to have a better standing there. We must demand that they respect human life better than they do. We must demand that they community sentences for the people with these low crimes, and they're keeping them in jail doing 2 and 3 lifetimes for what? Yes, so we have to stand together on this. And Obamacare, that was his pet project. We cannot let that be abolished. We will not stand here and say, oh, let them take it. No. We lost an election. We didn't lose our mind. Okay? So we're going to stand up and we're going to push back and we're going to tell our senators, our councilmen, the minorities, you stand with us if you want our vote. All right? And I thank y'all so much.
We all saw the video of Walter Scott. Man shot in his back, running away. The Sunday after he was shot, I went to North Charleston with Reverend Rivers, and we had a prayer vigil at that spot. The man that we had lead us in prayer was Reverend Pinckney, who 2 months later was one of the 9 killed in his church in Charleston. Wow. It's too much going on to play games with the Justice Department. In the Justice Department is the case of Walter Scott. This family, just like the Garner family, has advocated nothing but asking for justice. They've not called for one word of hate, not one act of violence. The question, Mr. Trump, is not how we act. The question is how y'all gonna act about justice. How you gonna act to people that stand up and make America great. When you can see people mowed down in a church and Bible class and turn and forgive the